All right, welcome to the Take Your Health Back Now podcast. Today we're going to be talking about health freedom. So, this is a topic that we talk about a lot, but I don't think we've done a specific podcast on it. We went back and looked and we're like, I don't see one.
Yeah, I thought for sure we had because we talk about
Right.
it all the time, but we
Yes.
we never have.
Yeah. So, this is kind of the underlying theme of a lot of what we talk about, not in the specific like health symptom arena, but just overall, we talk about health freedom. So we're going to dive into that. We do have an upcoming conference that is
Yeah.
also all about health freedom. It is let me see, 71st anniversary of the National Health Federation Conference and Gala. So that's exciting. Kendra will be speaking. I have other engagements, so I won't be there. Yeah, but that is in a couple weeks here, April 23rd to the 25th in Dallas. I will put the link in the show notes. But if you're interested, it's going to be really great. A lot of great speakers, a lot of like one-on-one time, definitely worth your ticket value. And if you click on the link or we'll put the code in, I think we've got a discount code for you guys. So check that out.
Yes, definitely. And this is last minute, of course, on the conference, but you can still go. We've done this
Yeah.
before where we found one and we up and went. And the thing about, when we're talking about health freedom, the reason part of the reason these conferences are so important, I mean, you get so much good information, of course, but you're around like-minded people because a lot of times in this space, if you're in this space with us, and I imagine you are if you're watching it, a lot of times you don't have that community as much. A lot of times your friends and family are thinking you're crazy, or you're getting pushback, or you feel you only have a few people you can talk about this stuff to. So it's really great to be in a room full of people that are on the same page, and then you really come away empowered, because I think a lot of times in this space, I mean, it's a lot. And a lot of people tend to get not down, but sometimes you feel like it's out of your control,
Right.
and so when you go to these things, you come away and you're like, yes, I can.
Right, right. And sometimes you just being around other people and like having the freedom to speak about it and not like censoring yourself, lets you feel more confident to do that when you go back home. And maybe you will find more community back home than you knew about, because now you have a little bit more confidence, maybe some more talking points from being there. So it is a great experience. Um, Obviously, if you go, make sure you see Kendra's speech.
Yes,
It'll be the best one.
Saturday. And it's an important one, but there's some really amazing speakers there, and all of them have, really important topics that you may know about or you may not. I will say one other thing with the conference. The one thing that I really like about this particular conference is that they have it so that all the speakers are one after another, because we've been to a lot of conferences where you have to pick and choose. You want to
Right,
all the speakers, but you have to make choices, and
right.
they have different speakers speaking at the same time. And so not only do you get to actually hear every single speaker, there's time to mingle with the speakers. Like Judy Mikovits, for instance, is speaking, and last year she was just there available and talking to everybody, and so it's a really nice atmosphere that you don't get a lot of the time. So we would welcome you to come, and yes, if you do come, search me out and find me.
Yes.
I'll be there.
All right. So if you haven't been a part of our audience before and you're just catching this podcast and seeing us for the first time, we are Kendra Duquette and Jenny Wise. We are the co-founders of the Take Your Health Back Now system and the Preventative Health Institute, which handles the Preventative Health Practitioner Certification and Training Program. Everything we do is about health freedom, empowerment, and if you want to learn more, check out all our socials. So we've done a lot of commercialing, I feel like, for the last couple of minutes. So let's just dive into the topic.
Yes. Yes. So health freedom. So this is a very important time. I feel like people have gotten kind of complacent, like since the
Yeah.
whole COVID thing. I mean, people really became aware during that time, the beginning of that. That was like the biggest time, I feel like. And then that's kind of gotten quiet. Obviously, things come out on it, but it's just kind of everybody kind of went back to their own lives and that type of thing. But really, this time that we're in right now, I don't feel like there's ever been a more important time to really have a handle on your health freedom because of they're kind of slowly, quietly ushering us. It's not slowly, actually, it's exploding in 2026, but it's quiet and people don't quite understand what's happening, and we're just kind of being ushered in like a herd of cattle. So you really need, when we talk about health freedom, we always talk about you have to have the knowledge. That's the first thing. You have to have truth and knowledge so that you can make a choice of what is right for you. I mean, that's what health freedom is.
Right. I feel like there's a lot of misconception about what freedom and health freedom is. Like you were saying, I feel like a lot of people have just said, well, I'm going to opt myself out of the conventional medical system so I have health freedom. But that's not true. Just opting out of something doesn't give you freedom. You have to have the information to make the choices you need for yourself, because if you're not making choices, then you're not free. You're just, even though you're not doing this thing, something else is happening. Like you have to actively create health for yourself. It won't just happen because you're not going to the doctor for your annual.
Right.
That's not
And
how
you
it
have to
works.
make a conscious decision
Yes.
because always, nothing is stagnant. And so always the decision will be made for you. So if you don't consciously make decisions for yourself, it's going to be made for you, just ushered down the road and you won't even realize it, kind of thing. But the other thing, to go along with what you said, a lot on the opposite side, a lot of times people are really into researching and gathering information. Like they like to go listen to all these speakers and they have all this information, but then they can't make a decision.
Right.
So they don't take action.
Yeah.
So you got this information, but then you never move forward taking action. And also the other piece of it is if you're on this side of the road, if you want to have a natural type lifestyle, or you want to say you have somebody in your family has cancer, you have cancer, and you want to do a natural approach, you don't want to go the chemotherapy route, or you have children or pets that you don't want to go down the vaccination system, that kind of thing, it becomes very difficult.
Right.
And it's not the easy path. And so then a lot of people, even though they know, they feel like they know, they feel like they should do that, they've got the information, but then they don't take action and do it because it's a
Right.
hard way to do it, So you've got to really have the information and then make a choice, which is taking action.
Right. And just like we've brought up like these big topics that people kind of polarize around. But it's not just those big things. It's not like you have this big acute health scare and you're going to make this decision not to do chemotherapy. It's everyday choices too.
Right.
So you have to, yes, you need to learn a lifestyle. So in order to have health freedom, you need to know about what causes internal dysfunction, what is in your external environment that's affecting that internal dysfunction. We're not saying that you have to follow the Take Your Health Back Now system or us, but there's not a lot of other people out there that have like a full system that's actionable, that has the information, that lets you make the choices. So for right now, I feel like you're stuck with us if you want to learn this. You can do this on your own. We're not saying you can't, because that's kind of how we got here, right? But it does take a really long time and it's a lot of work. So having like a structured learning path or a mentor or that support really does help you make those actionable steps into reality faster, get your health back in order faster, prevent disease earlier. It's just better.
and really protect yourself. And
Yes.
what, we talked a few podcasts ago on the therapeutics, right? We were talking about them. If you saw that one, if you didn't, you can go back and watch it. And we've talked about synthetic biology quite a bit. But all of those things are what we're quietly being ushered into. And this is kind of what I'm talking about in my speech is we're at this crossroads and people don't even realize it. And you really, it's coming down to choosing to be human, really, or choosing to be transhuman, which is what they're pushing us into. And that's not futuristic. It sounds futuristic and you almost can't even wrap your mind around it. But it's like right now, that is what they want. And it's
Right.
very now. But if you go down the road of you're doing things that are altering your genetics, you're doing things that are the wireless technology. It's all moving you into this, what they're calling precision medicine,
Right.
which the goal is, and we're talking the goal within a few years. This is a short-term goal, is actually delivering medications internally, remotely.
Right.
Sounds like the Jetsons, but it's not. And they're
No.
putting all of this in place. So you really have to have this information so that you can stay on the other path if you want to. Maybe you want to go that way.
Right.
But the other way would be what we teach all the time, and it's being, staying true to your natural biology and being a natural, pure human and healing and thriving. I was listening to a video this morning. Greg Braden did it, if you're familiar with him, but he was talking about, how we feel like the aging process, like some people don't even want to get old because of what they've seen their older relatives or friends go through and how terrible their life is at that point. But he was talking about how, naturally we have the ability to live a very long time. And we talk about this all the time, healthy up until you're not alive anymore. But there are documented cases of people that are 120 years old, 150 years old. There was a guy, I didn't know this. I don't know if you've heard of this, Jenny, but in like the early 1900s, National Geographic even did an expose on him, but he was a Buddhist monk. And they have records to prove it that he was actually born. He said he was born in 17, like 29 or something, but the actual government records showed that he was born in the 1600s and he died in the 1900s. And it's documented. Like you can't even dispute it. But it's the way they live their lifestyle. And we talk about this all the time. And but you have to know why you're making these choices and then make this choice. So the reason we wanted to do this today was because we feel like humanity's really at a crossroads and a choice point, but you can't make choices for yourself without the information.
Right. Right. And I feel like you mentioned that this is quiet and it's really happening fast right now. And it's because over the last couple of years, they've kind of slowly brought this into, I don't know, normalcy. This is kind of how, I mean, this is a very regular psychology technique. If you have something big and crazy that you don't think that people will agree to, this could be on a small scale, like with a spouse or a child, or on a large scale, like we're talking about. You start with little things that are kind of similar and you do them less often. So, you have a kid that doesn't eat anything green. So then you start with maybe green apples every once in a while. And then you move into like something that's more, vegetable like. And then over time, a year down the road, you're handing them a salad and they're used to it because it was little things, starting with things they like over time. So that's what's happened. They've introduced a lot of, like wearables and now all of these therapeutics that we've talked about and AI and robots and these things just kind of gradually have come into society and to everyone's consciousness, so that in this next year or two, having a full on transhuman, which is not like, the whole male female thing, but like not human.
Right.
You're part of something else. You transition, yeah, your biology, your DNA, having something inserted that changes your genetic code because it's positive and it's precision doesn't seem crazy. But if we had told you that 6 years ago, people would be like, what in the world? No one will do that. That sounds awful.
Right. Well, when I first came across the transhumanist movement agenda, it was at the very, very beginning of the COVID thing. And I was looking up, you know, information on that. And I came across the transhumanist agenda. And I was like, what the heck? It just blew
Right.
my mind that that could even be a real thing. Um, yeah. But anyway,
Here we are.
yes. But what I was going to say, in addition to what you were saying, so, we talk about all of these health problems people are experiencing, these symptoms people are experiencing. All of this is chronic, right? We talk about this a lot. So if you are chronically ill, it's a very slow, drips of poison, really, toxins coming into your environment, making you slowly sicker and sicker and sicker. But it's like exactly what Jenny was saying. It's like a chronic condition with people with just rolling out little bits at a time. And if you think about, like for instance, when National Health Federation first started, it was 71 years ago, right? You said that. And the reason it started was because a man, I can't think of his name right now, he was using a machine like a Rife machine. His wife got cancer and he was using this machine. So it was a, energy medicine basically. And it helped her. It went away and they maintained that and she lived for a long time. And then the FDA came in, the government came in and they took it from him because it was a natural way to do it. And they wouldn't, they made it illegal for her to use it. And she ended up dying. And so that's why he started the NHF in the first place. So this, kind of ban on natural ways to heal yourself has been going on for a long time. But then you think about in the 40s or, around World War II, all of a sudden these chemicals came in. We talk about this a lot. So then it was making life better with chemicals and everything's, plastics, processed foods, frozen foods. The ladies had the plastic covers over their furniture. That's when everything in our lives started being made not naturally anymore, like you would say a wooden chair. Now you've got a plastic chair, slowly, right? And then that becomes natural. And then all of a sudden there's microwaves and there's things like that. And then all of a sudden, we've got all of the first cell phone. And then now it's progressed to everything is smart in your house, but it's a slow progression. And they like to say it's, technology is the way of the future and we're bettering our lives and that kind of thing. And so you believe that, but it is just slowly, slowly, slowly ushering us into this. So you feel like it's just normal, like you were saying, but that's definitely a chronic means slow, progression, whatever it is that you're talking about with that.
In order to be free, you have to have choice. In order to make choices, you have to have the information. So, like Kendra said, you could make those choices. You could have health freedom and choose to be in that system. You could choose to become transhuman, robot person, whatever. You can make that choice as long as you're making the choice, as long as you understand the options and you know that you're doing it. So the really scary part is how many people think that just being ignorant of this information makes them free. It doesn't. It just gives away your power. Like someone else is making that choice for you. So we just really are proponents of empowerment, information. Obviously, if you're listening to us, you know what decision we recommend. But, you know, we are not against people being sovereign beings and making their own choices. No, you know, we
And we
might.
also have to remember that there's such a divide, and that really became obvious during the COVID thing. So for the people that want to go down the conventional route, that's fine. And because
Right.
it, like Jenny just said, they feel like they have the information. That's the choice they make. But you also can't judge the person that chose to heal their body naturally and rely on
Right.
the natural ability of the body to heal, going down that route. So that comes into health freedom too, where we can't judge. You can't just pick this way and not do this way. And the other thing I wanted to mention about what is happening now, where we are right now, is, and again, we referenced that synthetic biology podcast we did last year. It's been a year already, maybe two. Anyway, but that is a good one to go back and listen to, because the problem with that, it is infiltrating our lives in every aspect right now, and it does not have to be labeled. That's the problem. So you don't know, unless you're constantly researching, constantly keeping up on it. You don't know where it is, or which products have it, or which foods have it. Just about everything does right now, unless you go very, very, very natural. But they call it natural. That's the thing. So if you're going to, you realize that perfumes are toxic, right? So now you're going to try to get a non-toxic alternative, and you go to a fragrance company that is natural and they only use natural fragrances, that type of thing. Well, it's not natural because it's the synbio or biotechnology. But people don't know. I mean, people are just literally unaware of this, and that's why it's so easy to just kind of usher it in. So the therapeutics that we've been talking about, the peptides, that type of thing, same thing. And also remember all the words of anti-aging and looking beautiful and being strong and energetic and improving your cognitive function and all these things. They will use these words that sound natural, but it's this biotechnology that they're ushering in. So you really, really have to have the information and be aware.
Right. So, you know, basically what Kendra's saying is if you want to make the choice to live this, you know, root cause, preventative approach, be healthy, you know, biological aging and aging in reverse, if you want to do that naturally, it's a lot of work. It's the hard path, but it really is. It will get you all of those things that they're talking about. Those are the things that people want, but they want to do it without the work. And there is no skipping the steps. If you skip the steps, then you're going to get a different outcome. You know, if you do this in an unnatural way, some part of that outcome is going to be unnatural. So it may, you know, you may look great, but there are going to be other side effects. Like something is going to be out of balance.
Anything that's a big experiment, it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. I mean, it's just it. And then the other thing I was thinking about when you were talking is, in this situation that we're living through right now, you have a lot of control of your life and of your health and your decisions. But there is a lot out of our control. So there are more and more cell towers going up. There's more and more cameras going up right now. There's more and more all the things when it comes to the electronics and the smart and the EMFs and the RF and all of that, which are definitely affecting our health negatively. All life. Remember, it's always all life, not just humans. And then the other thing is, like the chemtrails, we talk about that a lot, what they're spraying, and there's just so much that's out of our control. So again, where you have the control is where you put your focus. You focus on what you do have control over, and then that ultimately helps you protect your body from all of these things that are out of her control. And that's also part of health freedom.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. They're spraying every day. What am I going to do about it? That kind of thing. But you do have the control over your body. and what you put in and on it, what you think, your lifestyle, all of these type of things. And then if you get as healthy as possible, you can protect yourself from these outside issues until hopefully someday they go away. We are having a cell tower panel and a chemtrail panel at the conference too, if that interests you.
Nice.
Should, because that is something that is seemingly out of our control and affecting everyone's health. But
Right.
all of these aspects are part of health freedom that I think people maybe don't think about.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like our system, our approach really does touch on everything. And there's not a lot of people out there that are doing that. Like there's a lot of people that have good information on one topic. Um, but if you only look at one topic, all of those other things are going to continue on the road to dysfunction while you're ignoring them. So you really do have to do the work in all areas all the time. And, it sounds overwhelming, but once you kind of get into the habit and have the information, then it becomes a lot more simple to continue on that path. And it's really just the getting started. And that's the time when we are here for you. That's what our program does. The first 3 months, we kind of hold your hand, help you through that scary transformation. And then you're really ready to live the rest of your life in this way.
Which will keep you out of the system.
Yes.
For sure. But so hopefully that's helpful. But just the main thing is own your health freedom. I mean, just do the very first step that you need to take in order to be, have health freedom is you have to take a radical responsibility for your own health. Nobody's coming to save you. There's no outside force that will help you, even with, the whole MAHA movement, and they're taking the colorings maybe out of foods, or all these things. That's not going to save you. No. You have to take responsibility for your health, and then start making the choices to get there. But you can do it. That's the thing. And again, we talk about this all the time too. You either choose to be a victim or you choose to be empowered.
Right.
Choose to be empowered, then you will have health freedom, and you can ride this wave.
And that empowerment requires action, not just knowledge. You can't just know these things and think they're going to happen. You have to take action on them, and nobody's perfect 100% of the time. So remember to do as much as you can when you can, and not be mean to other people about it. You can protect your environment and your boundaries without bringing in extreme negativity. Sometimes that means making choices and setting boundaries and cutting people off, but they have to be allowed to make their choices too.
Right. And even this goes along with, of course, it goes along with your family and your children and pets, all of it. You have to have the information. Like, for instance, a good example is it's the law that dogs have to have, and cats are supposed to have the rabies shot, right? You can avoid all the others, but that's the one that you can get in trouble for if you choose to avoid it. But they now have this mRNA choice, which they're going to, but people don't even know, and so again, you have to know, so at least you can make a better option and avoid that. Right. And so anyway, we talk about you and your health all the time, but just remember it also goes, it filters out to your immediate family and your pets,
the beings that you have responsibility for,
the earth around you, all of that. And they all affect each other too. So, and actually, even that's empowering when you start thinking about that's something else. I started talking about the Greg Braden thing. One of the things he was talking about that all these people have in common that live for so long, and we talk about this a lot too, but it's having purpose. And whether it's purpose, like we are on this big mission, that's purpose, obviously, but just having purpose. Like one lady said that her what was her, reason for living so long healthy was love, and the love she got from her family and the love that she gave to her family. And she said, I have purpose. They need me. I make their dinners. I garden to get the food for their dinners. I help them do things. So that's purpose. So whatever your purpose is, that's a big part of being healthy. And I don't even know where I was going with that, with the health freedom, but
But it's a good point.
oh my, it is a good point.
All
Anyway,
right, so that I feel like that summarizes health freedom and our concept of it because we speak about it all the time. We're always talking about you have to have health freedom, but we never really just defined it. So,
right,
from our point of view, that is really health freedom, having all the information and then taking action for whatever choice feels best for you.
right.
Then you have freedom. And there will be lots of good topics on overall health freedom at the conference. So check that out. I do believe down the road it will be available for video. We'll put that out there, I'm sure,
Yeah.
when it becomes available. So if you
Some,
can't go, otherwise, if this is an interesting topic for you, share, like, subscribe, all the things so that you can get more information like this from us.
yes. And really everything that we talk about goes along with your health freedom on every podcast. So just keep watching. But yeah, and this needs to be an important topic for everyone, really, or you're just going to go down that path without your knowledge. So hopefully it's helpful. I hope to see you at the conference if you can make it. And then we'll see you next time.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too.